episode of Veggie Vibes TV. I am very excited today because we are here at Amy's farm and Amy lives a unique lifestyle. You'll be thrilled to hear her story. And let me say no more, you're going to meet her in a second. You will be as delighted as I am. Be intrigued, be inspired. And here she is.
Hola, Wilco. How are you? Welcome.
Hi.
Welcome to the farm.
Thank you for having us at your beautiful farm. We are dying to hear your story. Thank you very much. It is beautiful here.
Well, you're very welcome to be here. We are walking into a farm now that was originally, you could only come in by horse trail, and this path that we're walking on has been dug out by hand. And here no cars enter the farm, and that was something that I was very clear about from the beginning. So the idea is, as we walk down these steps, which are a combination of river stone and rocks that I collected from the beach here, you sort of feel a sense of peace and tranquility, which is, and just taking things in as we enter the farm. So please come and join me.
Yeah, thank you.
We go down. Yeah. Okay, so as we come down into the farm now, we have the first glimpse of this wonderful rancho, which is often called the palapa. In the U.S., in Mexico, they use the word palapa. And this is actually my home. So we're going to come down these steps and walk into this thatched structure, which is completely made of natural materials. Leaf, wood, stone, and, well, the paths are stone. And at this point, on this farm, there is no cement, there's no glass. Everything is natural, and I encourage people to take your shoes off. And just feel the earth, get grounded and connected as we come down. Okay, so let's go into the rancho. So I have to stop at this just beautiful bush called Flor de San Juan. These are flowers that sort of have two stages. One is this beautiful stage here, the first stage, and then they start to form the flower. This flower here is edible, and even more delightful are these pink petals here. And this is so lovely. You can just come and eat. They're like a lemony flavor, really delicious. So we have a lot of greens and things around us that we can enjoy here, and I'll show you more as we go. So here we are in the rancho. This is my home. This home is, you know, a structure that for me allows me space to just be. There's no furniture here. I have a tent here that I use in the rainy season, but generally I sleep near the edge of the rancho looking out to this a beautiful view, which I'm sure you'll see shortly, into the mountains. And I feel at peace here. It's a place where I can do yoga, I can sing, dance, meditate, sleep, write, read, feel, be. One of the reasons that I came here and to Costa Rica is I wanted three things. I wanted fresh air, pure water, and fertile land. And I was living in New York City at the time. I was a musician, playing jazz gigs, a trumpet player, and started to make observations about how I felt during the gigs when I was eating food at these restaurants, and I had to go back and perform, use my diaphragm. Trumpet playing is very physical, and started to observe how I felt after some of these meals, especially things like spaghetti and bread and grains and so forth. And I slowly on my own started cutting these things out until I was at just asking for a plate of steamed vegetables. Around that time I read an article on raw foods that pretty much knocked me out. It rang of so much truth, of a couple also living in New York who had turned to raw foods. And I found a support group in New York City, meeting once a week. And I started to attend, and basically within a week I became 100% raw. It was so clear to me that it felt like a truthful path to follow, and I only needed to know that it was okay and that other people were doing it. So that was the beginning of my journey, which soon led me into things like sun gazing. And I had worn contact lenses for 25 years. I stopped corrective vision. One night I took my lenses, I put them in the case, into the cabinet in the bathroom, and never took them out again. That was probably almost 7 years ago. I've been using my natural vision. I have much to say about vision because I feel it's much deeper than on the physical level. I feel like our vision often is a reflection of how we're doing. And when we're stressed and feeling disturbed, perhaps emotionally, or in a relationship or something, our vision might blur. And I think that's a survival mechanism which allows us to focus and turn inward and stop receiving so much external information as we all usually do with our perfect corrected vision. So I'm quite happy using the vision that I have. That was another change that happened for me in New York City, as well as sun gazing and reading lots of spiritual literature and spending time in the parks, walking barefoot. All of these things happened at once, excuse me. It was a kind of a massive transformation, I guess you could say, that was started by raw foods, living foods. And the living foods at this point is just part of this truth-seeking lifestyle that I've decided to pursue here. I have the freedom here to choose how I want to live, and that means things like no machines, and no refrigerator, and no wash machine, and no hot water, and no radio, and no electronic music. And it sounds like a lot of no's, but actually it's a lot of yeses, because I've opened up space for other things to come into my life by leaving those things out. And I'm also using my physical body more, so that I am no longer giving away life force to machines. I'm doing the work myself, and it's really quite easy to wash clothes and gather food and do all these things that we've taken for granted, perhaps, and I certainly did growing up.
So Amy, I'm very curious about the sun gazing. You mentioned sun gazing, and I read a little bit about it. I've seen people practicing it a little bit. Can you just enlighten us a little bit more about the practice of sun gazing?
Sure. Sun gazing is something that supposedly has been practiced by nobility in Egypt and many people for many, many thousands of years. It's basically looking directly into the sunlight at safe hours of the day, where the UV ray is not too strong. Usually I think a reading of 2 or less. There are things called UV meters that you can measure. The hours usually are the 1 hour from sunrise. You have 1 hour to look into the sun, and 1 hour before the sun sets. Many of us have watched sunsets in our lives, so we have actually done sun gazing before. But in this way, the idea is that you stand barefoot on the earth and look directly into the sun. Some people start a practice where they start at 10 seconds a day and increment at another 10 seconds each day. And eventually you may be sun gazing for many minutes at a time. I think up to 45 minutes maximum. And I think it's a very natural, organic process that each of us needs to find. If you choose to practice sun gazing, you don't need to worry so much about the dangers. I don't feel that my eyes have been damaged by this practice. I'm doing it with an intention of love and opening and receiving energy into the pituitary and pineal glands, which supposedly are dormant spiritual glands that for most of us aren't being used. So it was, for me, looking deep into a light that I had never seen before. And it's a very penetrating light. It brings me joy. And I also feel that it's healing for my eyes as well.
Wow, that's really fascinating. I'm sure everybody loves that one. That's great. Intriguing. Thank you.
I'm going to walk out of the rancho now and walk over to the shed, also called the bodega, via the stone pathways. So very, very comfortable here to walk without shoes, which really gives us a sense of constant connection and grounding to this place, to the land. This shed was built from wood from an old Tico house and as well as the rancho where we just were, that was dismantled from another farm and brought here. And so I was very happy not to have to buy new wood from a sawmill, to take wood and recreate it into something else. And I started to plant these vines, which has been really lovely. And they've created 2 walls, very beautiful, with different flowers. So it allows the structure to blend in more to the surroundings. So another decision I made was to leave the floor earth, just to have a dirt floor, and it has been the most wonderful floor I think I've ever had. The easiest floor to clean, and it feels great on the feet. Our feet, as you know, are curved, and so is the land. And there's natural curves and undulations that actually massage our feet and hit on certain pressure points. That's quite healthy. And so this floor, I literally never tire, no matter how long I'm on my feet. Barefoot on the earth, I don't tire. And that was a great message for me, that just by keeping things natural and simple, I would be actually living more comfortably. So as you come in here, you can see it's basically a dirt floor. The only machine, so to speak, that I'm using is a sink. My main tools are a cutting board, a sink, and a knife. I'm eating mostly fruit, some greens. I've got some boxes here where I store fruit, some shelves of personal belongings, and where I keep clothes and books and things, and my racks of bananas and things that I need to keep perhaps from the animals. We're all interested in the same food here. So these are all bananas from the farm, some different varieties. I think this is called an apple banana, and these are just natural varieties that are very delicious, very sweet. They ripen, we harvest them green, and they ripen right here on the hooks inside this hut, or the bodega. So this is really the base of my diet, as well as coconuts. I do drink a lot of coconuts, probably 60 a month. I would say 2 a day, and if it's 3 a day, we're probably up to 90.
Wow.
It's just a wonderful liquid that feels to me nourishing. We know it's full of minerals and nutrients. I feel it's the purest water on the earth, and I also feel it's the breast of Mama Earth. It's shaped like a breast. It's delicious. For those of you who may not have been breastfed, I think there is a way to connect and get nourishment from the mother, from our Mother Earth. Yeah. Sometimes the animals get in here, a few, but for the most part, because these bananas are stored inside the shed, they're fairly safe. But another point I did want to make is that I ultimately feel that much of our nourishment does not need to come from this food, that we have many ways of receiving nourishment, especially when we do things like air and sunbathing, where we allow the millions and billions of holes and pores on our body to receive fresh air, sunlight, radiation, good radiation, and minerals up from the earth. I mean, I read somewhere that the Native Americans used to say that those who wear shoes would go crazy because we have natural healing processes and information that come in from the earth up, and the earth actually can pull disease out through the feet and out of our bodies. So to me, as long as I'm on this farm, I'm pretty much barefoot and connected. I feel connected, I feel grounded and at peace. And I also feel that I'm receiving food and nutrition through my body, through my skin, as much as from the food that I eat, from these things, the fruit and things that are coming from the land. We've just come off the rancho and we've arrived to this small kind of meditation yoga table. This is where, and also a place for sleeping or reading, relaxing. This is a space I use a lot, or reading, relaxing. This is a space I use a lot. During the dry season, we have 2 seasons here, basically a dry and wet season. I often sleep under the stars and feel very connected. Sleeping under a beautiful sky of actually little lights, glimmering lights, and I feel some of the most profound sleep I've ever had actually has been here on this table And in the mornings I'll do my morning yoga practice and so forth, meditation. What's so nice about this table is where it's facing onto a beautiful view of an incredible mountainside full of trees and virgin forest in the back. This land continues down to a river and heads up to where you can see an old structure in the distance, and continues on into several more acres of virgin forest that we actually can't see. And when I go back there, I actually forget about this world. I enter another reality back in the jungle. It's very, very beautiful. And yeah, the fresh air and the humidity and the sunlight are what makes a place like this so amenable to just natural sun and air bathing. Oftentimes I'm here naturally, and doing gardening and feeling the sun on my back, receiving again the nutrition from the elements that are offering it. Sometimes I feel like when you're touching green, lots of green all the time, you're around plants, you don't need to be eating them, so to speak. We can receive greens, I feel, even in other ways, just touching, caressing, planting, harvesting. But we will go over and look at a garden, a simple garden made on some raised table beds, where I like to just go and pick a little bit and enjoy greens when I feel like it, when my body's asking for it. I'm mostly interested in the liquid, in the divine nectar that's in the foods, mostly fruit, which I feel is the essence of the food. And so often I find that I'm spitting out fiber these days. When I have something fibrous in my mouth, I usually tend not to swallow it once I've gotten the liquid in the essence. And I find I do the same with greens. I often chew them and then spit them out. That way it's very light on the digestive end of things, and I feel like I've received the essence that the food is giving. So I feel like I'm sort of slowly, in a very natural way, moving towards liquid, more what feels to me to be the most nourishing part of the food. And fruit, of course, is 80% or more liquid, and very delicious liquid, sweet and enticing. This is just a raised, well, it's a table that's been filled with earth, and I've got some chilies here that are in basically even bags on the ground here, really sprouting forth with lots of chilies. These are between sweet and hot, more on the sweet side. I've got some greens here. Some of these are from seeds. Sometimes we purchase starters at the local market. This is a green called komatsuma. I'm sure originally from Japan. It looks like mustard, but it's very sweet actually, and lovely to eat. Not as hot and spicy, maybe biting as mustard. It's not the mustard family. It just looks like it. And lettuce. There's some basil in the back and parsley, and got some onions here, chives and things, and some arugula. Take out some of these weeds. So I would say that I just come here. I'm usually not even making salads. I just come and pick and enjoy a little bit here, and then usually I've had enough. And there's so many other nice wild greens here, like the cranberry hibiscus. One of my favorites. This is really a delicious leaf. It's got a lemony flavor, and I can't get enough of it. It just feels good. It grows prolifically, easy to plant. And I think those are the greens that make the most sense to eat.
Although it's not green.
Right. But this is in the hibiscus family. Amapola, Yamapola family. So, have a bite. So, You may have noticed so far in some of the structures and things you've seen that we haven't seen a toilet or a shower. I have chosen to complete the food cycle, complete the food chain, which is something that I've wanted to do for a long time and can finally do here. And that is to recycle everything that comes forth from my body. Everything that comes from our bodies is wonderful nutrition for the earth, for microorganisms. We can't see them, but we know they respond because they quickly break down everything that comes forth that then serves to create more compost or food for animals, or creating earth to give back to the fruit trees. So I do have my own compost pile, which contains what I call human manure, fruit scraps and grass and leaf clippings. It's part of the most important work that I feel I do here on the farm. It allows me to feel that I'm giving back as much as I'm receiving. I'm not generating trash here. Everything I eat is natural. I'm eating only living food, so I'm not bringing boxes or things in packages to the farm. So I'm not really generating trash, which creates a much more sustainable lifestyle. And as far as bathing, my choice is to bathe where I want to and when I want to by just bringing the water to where I may feel a plant may also want that water as well. And I sometimes just take a bottle of rainwater. I'm only washing in rainwater these days. I use no soap or shampoo or toothpaste. I feel that as our skin has so many pores and holes we're receiving, I don't want to put anything on my body that I couldn't just as well put in my mouth. So if I can't eat it, I'm certainly not going to put it on my skin, and I don't eat shampoo, toothpaste, or soap. I also feel that my body, from being cleaned out, I've been doing raw foods for about 7 years now, and very natural, simple living foods, those products are industrial strength cleaning products that I definitely don't want to put on or feel that I need to put on my body. So I've been washing my hair in rainwater, and sometimes when it's pouring rain, I'll just go out under the sky and just receive the water in that moment. Or I'll bathe wherever I feel like bathing, and it's the same with elimination as well. And it makes life fun and interesting, because I think that we're changing every day, we're evolving. Sometimes I want to sleep out on the yoga table, sometimes on the rancho. I also want to eliminate, maybe in a place that feels, that allows me to feel natural and comfortable and under the shade and the sun, and the same with bathing. So it's really fun and exciting and interesting, and life is really far from dull. There's so much going on here, so much movement and life all around me, and I'm able to change what I do every day to make it more harmonious with all that's happening here on the land.
So as we are sitting here with this beautiful food, we're about to have lunch. Amy, I would like to touch upon one more question, which I find important, because you live here in this tropical climate, there's a lot of sunshine, and people are very afraid of the sun everywhere. And I've learned as well in natural hygiene, sunscreens are seen as actually products that can create cancer, because you're blocking out the sun to enter your skin, because the very important vitamin D is needed for health, right? So what is your view on the sun, basically? Yeah.
I think that especially when you follow a practice like sun gazing, you're receiving sun directly into your eyes, you become very comfortable with the sun. And I'm at a point where I'm happy to exercise and do things in the sun. I think our body has natural signals that tells us when we've had enough. These are things we've known. We have this information. It's been with us all the time. And that basically is, when you've had enough sun, your skin naturally starts to burn. You start to feel sensation. That is your signal to simply remove yourself from the sun and move into the shade. If we just follow our natural body's signals, we're getting information every moment of our lives. Information is coming to us. Just following that is enough. And I literally never burn. Over time you develop a slow tan, and as time goes on you can tolerate more and more sun in a very natural, comfortable way, and you can deal with very hot climates. So I feel we come from the tropics as humans. We came from this place, and it's natural for us to be walking naturally in the sun and spending much of our day outdoors under the elements.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Great. I just wanted to touch upon that one. So let's eat. It looks gorgeous. Amy's going to get us a bit of fresh hearts of palm that she has growing on the farm here, which is absolutely delicious. You can use in many dishes. She needs some protective gloves here. I've never seen the harvesting of hearts of palm, so I'm curious.
You don't want this stuff on your skin. I'm going to try to get a hold of this tube here and pull it over towards... This is... See the fan here?
Wow.
The fan effect, did you see?
Mm-hmm. Baby life. Mm-hmm. Wow.
The way it opens up. I think this little piece of purple, tiny piece of purple at the tip, is the actual true, real center, a heart. So I'm going to split this in half. You guys can each, this is just going to melt.
Amy, I really want to thank you here for having us on your farm and those inspiring words. Thank you very, very much. And the last thing I'd like to ask you is maybe something inspiring for the people out there that not sure yet about the raw food diet. I just started to look into it and still have questions. I know there's a lot to explain still, but what do you feel you want to say to these people? That, you know.
So if you're looking for a path of truth and you're trying to find how you fit into things here, you want to make sure that you're putting real things into your body to allow you clarity of mind, clarity of thought. And what I would say is raw foods is alive and you're a living body. And so if you keep with the philosophy of only putting living things into a living body, so we never would want to put death into a living body. If you can keep with that principle and stick to things mostly following things that come from plants, a base of plants and trees, there is an abundance in a world of amazing food and things that you can take into your body that will feed you and give you life force rather than take life force. So I would say that just keep living force going into your body so that you can then project living force outward and have a full and abundant and rewarding life, fulfilling life.
Thank you. That is truly inspiring. Thank you very much again.
You're very welcome.